nameless, formless. Who I am, I can't see. Empty awareness, invisible divinity.
There comes a point when the pain of holding on is greater than the fear of letting go. And it is then that you will let go.
Should I then continue to experience this to experience this hardship until it's ready to let go? Or should I?
You might think you have a choice, but you don't. It's going to do what it's going to do. And it will feel like you're doing what makes sense to you. That's what the seeker will do, what makes sense to you. So that feeling of doing what makes sense to you, we interpret as me making a choice. But you're only doing what makes sense to you. Do you know? It seems like logical, or yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I need to do that. Da, da, da. But all of that is just a line of thought that a seeker follows. It's kind of how seeking is done. And the seeking stops. And sometimes there are seekers who are not seeking. But all of it is the moment. It's all the me story. All of it. But if there is that sense of if you let it go, there'd be nothing. Hallelujah. Because the mind isn't coming in with, well, I could do that instead. It's like saying, whoops, what's down there? Don't like it. That's where fear comes. The fear is based on nothing. It's just fear because mind can't handle it. So it presents fear because it's the strongest emotion, huh? To stop movement. Fear is the strongest one. So that's what mind will do. It's just mind. It's not you. They're just thoughts passing through.
Fear of why? Fear of why the fear? Why is there that movement? What does it serve? Why is this? It's there and it's so overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if I'm just holding on to being a seeker because of the fear.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Fear will always be there, somewhere, because it's just a polar opposite to love, or to safety, whatever. Do you know? So it's all right. It just exists. Is fear supposed to go? Passes through like everything. But when it's my fear, okay, now the movie is taken as real. It's always the ownership that is the sticky part. So if the I stopped being a seeker, if the I still continues and believed to be an individual separate form, something else, it will have another project. It will get something else. It will be not seeking. Do you know? There's still an I there. Is one better than another? Not at all. It's just going on and on and on. It's a dog chasing its tail. The I business. imagining it's progressing.
The seeker has a life force that is very strong in me. I feel it constantly. Needing to be free.
Yes. Yes.
There's that need, there's that drive, there's the life force.
Yes. Yes. That pull. Yes.
So, just to be there, realize what is, and not to continue to invest too much energy in it, but to see that it's a life force.
Yes, it is a life force. And if it hasn't happened already, it takes away personal choice. Because the pull or the push of that force is determining what experiences are being had by you. Does that make sense?
The pull.
Yeah, you know that life force, that draw towards, that huge longing to get out. That determines the actions that form takes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So then, is it known that you've no choice? Has that clicked?
Yes.
Okay. Then what are you worried about? You can't choose anyway. Let it take you. Let it burn you. Let it have the ideas of what you think you are. Just jump. Let it take you. Because the seeking is trying to control where this pull is pulling you. But the seeker is trying to control. Let's have an aversion to aversion, because we've spun it out so much. What are we going to do with it now? Let's have an aversion to aversion and an aversion to attraction. And can we just mix it all up and keep this show going? The seeking might stop, it might start. Don't be bothered. Drop your attention to where you're not dealing with issues to be sorted. The rubbish, as I call it. Drop your attention to where none of that is happening. Because when attention is on my spiritual practice, the moving is going on and it's very solid. That's the show. So drop your attention behind it. You can do that, can't you?
Yes.
Yeah. And keep your attention behind it. And you will find your form is meditating in the morning. And you will find there are certain things are done. And it will get softer, not sticky.
Yes.
And they will be, oh, I'm losing the plot, I'm going to go back into the world. It's like, that's just fear.
Right.
That's if I go back into the world, I'll go back into the world. But you probably won't.
Right.
If you do it for a very short while, till you find your balance again. You know? That's okay. That's okay. You learn something from it. Even if you do, you learn something about it. Sometimes when the controller is very strong about spiritual practice, sometimes you need to kind of get off the train, you know, to revisit, to just kind of, I don't know, sometimes it happens like that you go back into the world just to kind of like, oh yeah, that was that, and this is why I'm doing this. Sometimes that happens. You won't lose, you can't lose any ground. It's not like that. So if in the softening, you swing the other way in order to find your new equilibrium, that's okay. It's to find the new balance. Sometimes it goes, whoops, oh no, here's where new central ground is. Okay?